with all of you. Okay, let me just cross check. Is the screen visible to everyone?
Yes, sir.
It's in full screen mode, right? Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so the today's session that we are going to talk about is related to research design. Again, it is part of the subject research methodology. Let me just take a pointer. Yeah, this particular topic is, like quite important topic for any researcher. Like it could be from any background, even it need not be from engineering background at all. It could be any background. If you have seen the syllabus, really good textbooks have been quoted in the reference section. Um, so what we are going to discuss in today's session is so the session is for today's session 11 to 15 to 1:15. The agenda of today's session is going to be the what is a research problem, and we'll also look at what do you mean by selecting a research problem, like what are the phases that you have to undergo, what are the challenges that you usually will face. So all those issues we'll try to look into. And apart from that, we'll also try to look into something called as necessity of defining the problem. Okay. So why exactly we are supposed to define the research problem? So what if we don't define the research problem? Can we start the research without defining the research problem itself? So basically, if you look at today's agenda, so in every agenda, one term that is common is problem or the research problem. So we'll be looking at all these aspects with in detail. And let me tell you, each one of you are from different background. So I'll be knowing from which background you are, so that maybe I can have a discussion on that part also. So what I have done is I have planned this session as quite interactive session. Maybe it will take little time for you to get adjusted. So in each and every slide, there is nothing like I'll be speaking and you will be listening. Throughout the slides or throughout the session, I'll be giving you sufficient time for interaction, sufficient time for polling and giving your opinions. So that's how the session has been planned. Otherwise, what's going to happen is I'll be simply telling you like what is research, what is this, what is that, and so on. So instead of doing that, so let's have a detailed and an interactive session. Yeah, the very first problem. I think all of you have gone through already a session of 2 hours. So I think let's take this. Yeah. So in the research process, the first and foremost step happens to be is. So instead of me giving you the answer, can anybody tell me what should be the answer for this? If you are like all of you are here to start your research journey, right? So anybody can answer this. Like I don't, you can unmute yourself and answer.
Literature review.
Identifying the problem.
Defining
Okay.
defining the problem.
Defining the problem, and I also heard
Literature survey.
Identification.
literature survey, and somebody told me something related to identification.
Yes, identification of problem.
Identification of problem, again something related to problem itself. Okay, any other answers?
Research gap. Identifying
Yeah.
research gaps.
Research gap, very good, very nice. Yeah.
Methodology to be adopted.
Methodology.
research gap. I'm just making a point so that we'll try to see which of these has to be taken the first. Okay, something related to methodology. Yeah.
Area, sir.
Oh, area of interest. Very good. Yeah.
So different components of study in logical way.
Sorry, I'm getting some more points.
Different components of the study.
Different components of the study.
Yes.
Okay.
Application.
Components of study. Yeah. Application. Okay. So I think we have got sufficient number of answers. Like a few of you told me, like problem identification of problem, literature review of research graph, methodology, and yeah, having a proper area of interest, and also exploring the applications also, and components of the study that you are undertaking. Right? So obviously, like I'm not, I'm not gonna debate or question. Everyone will be having their own. That is how the research design has, or the research methodology has been evolved. Like if you, but before starting any of the research, like a problem statement has to be defined. So that is the very first step. Selecting the research problem is where so everyone should start with, and an entire 2 hour session will be understanding um, what exactly is the research problem. Now let's say some of you might have already identified, some of you have yet to identify the research problem in your corresponding area of interest, or maybe some of you are thinking or maybe doing literature review and so on and so forth. But let me just take like how many are there in the session. Let me ask you, or let's take a poll on this. The question being like, have you identified the research problem? So let me just give you a poll. If you have a QR code scanner with you, or else you can simply type this link, or else let me just put this on the chat window so that all of you can access. It is kind of a poll. Okay, so the question is, have you identified your research problem or not? So just wanted to know from each one of you. I'll just stop the presentation. I'll put this particular okay, I'm putting it in the chat window. Okay. Can all of you access the link?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes.
It's just a poll. I'll start the poll from my end, and okay. Let me share the screen. Okay. So if you have you accessed the link? If you have typed in your link, or else you can simply scan it in your mobile. So you'll be redirected to a poll. Can anybody confirm me? Have you accessed or still doing it?
Yes, but the poll is not started, sir.
Yeah, because I have not started it, because
Okay.
I have opened the link and then QR code is ready. I think all of you have accessed the link. It is just a simple yes or no question. Nothing, no difficult thing, nothing. I'm just starting the poll and all of you are able to see the screen also, right? Yeah. So now I think as soon as you are able to answer, yeah, I'm getting the answers. You can also see. Uh, so I'm here, like nobody will, check like who is answering. Even I am also not aware, like who is answering what question, etc. but I just would like to see like how many of you are partially exploring, how many of you, okay, so I'm getting 6 as the definite questions, definite answer, yes, 2 as not it, and 12 as partially explored. So I'm still getting answers. Okay, great. Okay, so total number of students are 13 plus 8. How much is 21 plus 6, 27? Only 27 answers I have got. I don't know how many are there on the team. Let me just check. So nearly 40 members are there in the meet. So rest of the candidates,
Excuse me, sir. This is Netravati.
yes,
I
please.
I have not yet identified.
Okay. See, I'm not here to ask like who has identified. I just wanted to see like before taking up this research design session, I just wanted to know like how many of you have uh, partially explored or not yet started, or some of you have explored.
Partially
Uh,
explored, like
great. No problem. Now all of you have seen that how people are like working. Like people will take time. You see, here we can see that there are 9 candidates. They have completely identified the research problem, and complete not yet 6 members are there. 14 partially explored. Now why I just wanted to take this poll is just to know like whatever that I'm going to tell, it should be helpful to you, all of you, right? Let me just come back to the slide. Yeah, all of you are able to see the slide, right? Okay, from the
Yes, sir.
yeah, from the poll, what we understood is like nearly some around 6 to 8 members have completely identified the problem, and around some 13 members, 13 to 14 members are yet to partially identified, and some 6 to 7 students are yet to identify yet to start their problem identification. It does not matter, like so that is why you have got sufficient initial amount of time where you can work on this term, the research problem. You see, whenever we start with the research, the very first thing we need to understand is what exactly we are trying to solve. So that problem, that question should be answered. So in other words, every time when you start with the research work, you have to pose so many different types of questions, and you should get sufficient number of answers for all the questions that you are going to get. Like for example, it is not obviously the question which will always be unanswered is, will I get the answer for the problem? Obviously, you will only come to know at the end of your research journey. Sometimes even I have seen the cases like they'll start with the research and then they'll end up in a problem, they'll get stuck. So that is always a common phase for every researcher where they have to undergo this particular process. And finally, even sometimes even I have seen like they have defined a problem statement and proposed a methodology, and then finally they'll arrive at, okay, using this particular methodology it is not possible to solve the problem. So the question comes is there any alternate way for solving the problem, right? So my area of expertise being like wireless sensor networks from the stream of computer science. You can think like it's a quite vast area, and also it is kind of interdisciplinary subject research area. It matches with the wireless computer science, it matches with electrical engineering, it also has got background of mechanical engineering and also computer science, and of course electronics, which is a key part of wireless sensor networks. So you need to identify like are you thinking of interdisciplinary research, like how exactly you are supposed to do. So ultimately what I would like to say is research problem should be very crisp, and as a researcher, you should understand the research problem. Okay. Yeah, moving ahead, let's see. Okay, so just now we understood that in a research process, the first and foremost step happens to be defining the research problem. So now, when you say the problem has been completely identified, so that is what we are trying to identify in today's session. Okay, a researcher must find the problem and formulate it so that it becomes susceptible for the research. Now, again, let me ask you a question. How will you come to know? Like you have a research problem. Let's say you have identified, or those who have identified, I think they can answer this question. A researcher must find the problem and formulate it so that it becomes susceptible to research. So you have taken up a research problem and it is worth studying. So how do you know that? What are the questions that you ask yourself? Like, okay, I have identified the research problem and it is worth studying. So how do you say, like, how will you answer this question?
Was it socially relevant?
Okay.
One aspect.
Was it socially relevant? Any other things? Let's say if it is socially relevant.
Feasible and achievable.
Okay, feasible and achievable.
And can I find solution through my domain?
Okay. Solution is the solution possible or not? Like how will you come to know, like okay, it is feasible or achievable, or do you have a solution for this, but how do you know that this solution is going to work for your problem?
If I find supportive documents in the field of research work.
Okay, again something related to literature.
So similar things have been done in other areas, so that I can correlate with this problem, so that way I can know it is feasible.
Okay, so some kind of comparison analysis, maybe through mathematical or through some deriving some postulates, you can do that. Yeah, of course. So I'm again expecting like one more very important aspect. Researcher must find and formulate it so that it is susceptible to research. So one of the, yeah, of course, all these are, you know, valid answers, but one more important thing which I would like to add on to is time limitation. So you have got certain time limitation also, like within this fixed stimulated amount of time, will you be able to carry out this particular research or not? So that is also very important questions to be answered. Like you have 2 years or 3 years. Now, when you formulate a research problem, it could be quite narrow. So we have sufficient slides on that. So how, when your problem can be narrow, when your problem is considered as vague, etc. So you should not end up in a research problem saying that, okay, now let me take an example from the wireless sensor network itself. There are various aspects when you take up networking as such. There are various layers in computer science or computer networks we talk about. A physical layer, and then there is a network layer, and then application layer, and so on. So my, research, when I was doing my research, it was quite daunting, like which layer should I target? So and I know finally I ended up in fine tuning with reference to developing routing protocols for wireless sensor networks. Even some of the experts, when we were formulating the problem statement, and also some of the objectives have to be framed for your research. So I had taken lots of expert guidance from the maybe from my guide, or maybe from experts from other universities, etc. So and they have given me lots and lots of inputs. It is not only like of course, these are the general questions. Now, when you, what happens is when you take up a problem statement, so people will start saying like, okay, well, why don't you do this? Why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? Etc. 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 So it all becomes like, if you ask my opinion in your research, I may give some of the hints, but it is up to the researcher, right, It is up to the researcher. You should decide like how exactly you will go ahead and then incorporate that particular problem. And question is, within the time frame, will you be able to complete and then achieve the feasible solution or not? Okay. So it is just like a, medical doctor or a, let me just erase this. Yeah. Like a medical doctor, a researcher must examine all the symptoms. All right, you must examine all the symptoms presented to him or observed by him concerning a problem before he can diagnose correctly. Right. So, in other words, you should be having lot of thought process. To define a problem correctly, a researcher must know what the problem is. So that is where we'll start with what the problem is and what are the components, what are the features of the problem that you are supposed to, to consider. Now, what is a research problem? To answer this question, I can answer it in 5 different components. I can state the components of the research problem as first, with reference to an individual or a group, right? So there must be an individual or a group which has some difficulty or the problem. Now, how do you know that the problem that you are considering is worth tackling? Like for whom you are actually solving this problem? Of course, everybody wants their degree. That is one thing. But like as one of you mentioned, for a social cause. Socially, it should be feasible. Like now problem statement, like when we are taking problem statement, it is obviously linked to our surroundings. You should take up a research problem, which is, of course, when we take up like computer science or electronics or mechanical background. So obviously these things will be full of technical stuff. That is one thing. But whom exactly? So after completing your books, many a times what happens is when you complete your PhD, it is going to be a closed book. Finally, it will end up in a thesis. But who is going to refer that particular thesis? Right. So that's a big question. So that is why many people like good research outcome. It will get published as a book also, so that it will get wide publicity and so on. So there must be an individual or a group who which has some difficulty or the problem. So an individual it can be maybe an end user, or a group means it could be an industry. So you might think like, so from where and all you can take up the problem statement. So whom and all you can approach. Maybe it is from individual means maybe from a researcher, already a person who is already doing a research work. A group means an organization, right? Maybe you are getting associated with one of the company and then taking up their problem and then solving it. Or maybe a group may not be from the company or the organization, but from the government agency or maybe a group of people. So you're taking that particular problem and then trying to solve it. So ultimately, whatever maybe it is, so a problem it should get originated from somebody, or it could be from individual or from the group. So another thing which I would like to mention is the objectives. There must be some objectives to be attained at. If one wants nothing, and one cannot have a problem. Right? So having a problem is one thing, but setting the objectives is another thing. Can anybody tell me what should be the meaning of objective? All of you will be framing the research objectives, right, for your research work. Obviously, when you're submitting your research proposal, when you're done with your literature review, when you have identified the problem statement, etc. So ultimately, one of the key component everybody will look into is whoever is the evaluator, maybe your guide or supervisor or an external expert. They'll check the objectives of your research problem keenly. Can anybody tell me what is the objective? What is the meaning of objective?
What you will achieve when the work is done.
Okay, so are you telling like it should be the final outcome?
Yes.
Okay, outcome or finally the results?
Yes.
Okay, so that is one thing. And any other thing that we can add on to the meaning of objective?
Importance.
Okay, importance. Importance with reference to which one, madam? Any other components which I can include? Okay, let it be. So when we are framing objectives, it is nothing but kind of milestones, right? So it is nothing but milestone 1, milestone 2, milestone 3, milestone 4, right? So you will start your journey here and then complete this milestone, take up the next milestone, take up the next milestone, complete all the milestone, and finally you have your research completed. So results as such, I won't say like objective is one thing, like what exactly you are trying to do in your entire 4 years or let's say 3 years, right? So that is what the research objective is all about. And research objective, these all 4 objectives or 5 objectives or 3 objectives, whatever that you say, once you complete those objectives, it means that you have completed your PhD, right? So, but there is always the problem, that is the research problem, right? So it does not mean that the research problem which you have considered has been solved, but you have given a considerable solution through these objectives, right? So every objective should be having certain methodology with it, right? So if I ask the question, how are you fulfilling this particular objective, there has to be a methodology associated with it, right? And each of the objectives should be having certain amount of time frame. It should not happen like you take this first objective as 2 years and second objective as 1 year and so on, right? Ultimately, how exactly you feel like, okay, how exactly the objective has been fulfilled? You should publish a paper out of one objective, another objective, other objective, and then so these are the visible results, right? It is not the results. When we when somebody asks you a question like what is the visible result, output, what is the visible outcome of the research? So then what is the visible outcome? It is not the results which you have got, but rather many things as many times visible result, visible result outcome is the publications that you make out of your research work. Okay, so if you have a problem statement, so once the problem statement is being designed, so next thing is you should be having a clear-cut objectives associated to the problems and couple of objectives that you can see that objective or objectives to be attained. If one wants nothing, one cannot have a problem, right? This is very important. Like once you have identified a problem, and then you should go for the objective, right? And also there is something important point called as course, right? So there must be always alternative means, right? Alternative means for course of action for obtaining the objectives one wishes to attain. This means that there must be at least 2 means available to a researcher, for if he has no choice of means, he cannot have a problem. What does it means is, it means like you will say, okay, you have set an objective, right? And you have a particular a methodology associated with the objective also, right? But what if that methodology does not work? So will you say that, okay, that research problem can never be solved? Now you should identify the research problem in such a way that there has to be an alternative course of solutions. So one or multiple solutions must be present. So you should think in that direction. And another important thing is efficiency of alternatives. Like you have couple of alternatives, but there must there must remain some doubt in the mind of the researcher with regard to the selection of alternatives. This means that the researcher must answer the question concerning the relative efficiency of possible alternatives. So you have multiple alternatives. Like you may think, okay, it can be implemented in this way also, in other way also, and so on. So you should be having how exactly you are going to judge the efficiency of the implemented strategies. So that also should be there. And last one, and very important thing is the environment, or the environment that where exactly you are trying to solve the problem. So these are all the issues associated with the components of the research problem. So when you are considering, okay, you should most of the times what happens is researchers will say like, okay, or anybody who is to start a research, they'll think they'll be having an initial idea like, okay, I would like to do research in Internet of Things. Okay, but what exactly you're trying to do? So those questions should be clear, like which subtopic you are trying to take, what are the objectives that you can propose, are all the objectives in line, and do you have different possibilities of implementing or taking those objectives, and how exactly you are going to evaluate those objectives or alternative course of possibilities, and in which environment. What if the environment itself is going to get changed? Will the results that you have obtained, are they going to affect? Now let's say if I consider an example of, let's say, cultivation of paddies. Right, cultivation of paddies. So I would like to check how exactly or efficiently I should check different methods. Maybe I have considered 4 different methods. So how exactly I should do it? What I can do is I can grow that in different parts of the field, right, and then take the outcome of this. And what largely matters is this entire field, is it in the same environment or is it in a different environment? Right. So there are so many research questions that come into picture. Like one has to answer. Again, of course, it is related to your domain. Now moving ahead. Okay. So finally, so what we can come up with the research problem is, a research problem is one which requires, let me underline, researchers to find best solution for the given problem, to find out which course of action the objectives can be attained optimally in the context of given environment. You can see that by research problem, whatever the 5 points which I just now mentioned, one is through the individual or the group, and another one is a point related to objective, and course of actions, alternative course of actions and their efficiencies, and also the environment. So my definition of research problem contains all the 5 aspects which I mentioned. So this particular definition incorporates everything. A research problem is one which requires a researcher to find out the best solution for a given problem, and to find out by which course of action the objective can be attained optimally in the context of given environment. Right? Before going further, so again, I think I have one more poll, just to know, like how many of you are from different backgrounds. Like few of you are from computer science, few of you are from electronics, few of you are from mechanical, physics, chemistry, and so on, whatever it is. I just wanted to know the background of your area of interest. Again, this is just a form. Let me just stop the presentation. Can you scan this?
Send the link, please.
Or else shall I put the link in the chat window?
Yes, it's better.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Again, it's it's not a difficult task as such. It's just a survey. Just wanted to know from all of you. Okay, you can click on this. For this, I think you need to log in. You will have only two questions: domain and engineering stream. You just have to answer those two. I've just kept a timer so that all of you can log in and then fill that form, type your area of interest and domain, so that I'll have a brief idea, so that again in the future discussion it will be helpful. Okay, I have, I think, received 16 responses. 17. Okay, so far I have received 18 responses. So we'll wait for one more minute. If there are anybody with pending responses, they can submit. Okay, I think I have received around 18 responses. Just let me read the topics. Some have mentioned as fluid dynamics, scientific computing. Yeah, please, you can take one more time, those who have 1 more minute. So if you're facing any difficulties in logging in, you can do that, no problem. Of course, these nothing is graded evaluation. Let me just tell you. So these are just for the sake of interaction. That's it. So nothing is graded as such. So the graded assessment will be done on the next Saturday. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, natural language understanding, and few of you have mentioned the detailed problem statement itself. Great. Yeah, so environmental engineering, robotics and Internet of Things, nanomaterials and magnetism, artificial intelligence, analysis of composite beams, and so on, fluid dynamics. Yeah. So just to name a few. No, idea is like all of you should know whatever may be the yeah, whatever may be the area of interest. So all of you should come up with a research problem, right? And I have given you hints of 5 different aspects. It should not be just like taking up a problem statement and then making it vague. Like, okay, all of you have shown your interest in the like different areas. That is one thing, which is a good thing. Like how exactly you are supposed to strengthen it? Like if I ask you a question, why do you think this is the research problem? Has it not been addressed? So these are the kind of questions which you will face. So when you're finally preparing your proposal, you should be having a complete set of questions. You can, if you want, maybe I can circulate at the end of the session or maybe in next session. So you should try to answer all those research questions, and you should be having some or the other kind of answer which is acceptable in nature. All right. So if maybe I think I have not included those in the current today's session, maybe in the next session I'll try to give all those questionnaires so that when formulating the problem statements, you can actually have a look into those questions and answer those questions while formulating or preparing your research proposals. Okay. Okay. So now let's move back to the slide part. Yeah. So all of you have mentioned different areas. Like I hope you will be able to successfully formulate your research problem. Now, very important thing. So again, let me just highlight. One is researcher best solution for a given problem, course of actions, objectives, optimal solution, and the environment. So ultimately, I think those who say that, okay, we have completely identified the research problem, try to see that whether you have answered these or whether you have formulated your research problem, taking all these aspects into consideration. And those who are yet to explore or partially explored, so just try to keep all these points in your mind. Okay. Yeah. So coming to this part, so we have mentioned, okay, their researchers should do the, find the best solution and code the different course of actions, and there has to be objectives. But most of the time what happens is environment may change, affecting the efficiency of the course of actions. Or let's say you are doing some kind of simulation work. Okay, as an example. Obviously, you are using some kind of simulator, right? Now, how exactly you are going to authenticate this particular simulator? So that actually the very first question comes into picture. So how do you, now let's say, is there anyone who is planning to use a simulation for the research work?
Yes, sir.
Okay. If you are using simulation or a simulator for getting the results or understanding a particular problem or solving a problem, So what are the things that you expect, like how, if I ask you a question, how can I rely on the results of a simulator? So then what would be your answer?
I need to validate the like maybe the given problem which have the test result first,
Okay.
and based on that which gives the confidence that like simulation give the results which we can believe, and then we
Okay.
can try to simulate the our problem
Mm-hmm.
with the same like that.
But with reference to a simulator, there will always be a question, right? So obviously you will be setting the environmental parameters, you will be setting the, you will be making the initializations. Then how will I trust the outcome is, outcome of the simulation results are correct. So how do you judge that?
Okay. Um,
No, why no? You might not be having the immediate answer. That's okay, fine. The question is just to have make you aware, like when you are facing your presentations in the future, etc. So all these questions you should ask, like if you are using a simulator, like is the simulator valid, right? Is the simulator being widely being used, right? And is the simulator confined to only one particular geographical area? Or is it like only being used in Maharashtra, or is it only being used in India, or across the globe people are using it? So you should justify all those aspects. So how do you justify that? With a proper literature review? Okay, I have studied in this paper. Okay, I from this paper I came to know that all the researchers are using simulators and it has already been published. So ultimately, what is necessary is you should justify your the way in which you are working. You should justify the environment. Like, what if instead of, let's say, if I use, instead of using one simulation or simulator one, why can't I use simulator 2? Why can't I use simulator 3? That also you can get a question, like if you have got the results from one simulator, right? Somebody may suggest you, an expert may suggest you, why don't you go for this particular simulator or this particular simulator, and they may ask you to redo your experiments in all the set of simulators and then try to see are you getting the same results or not. So that can also be one of the issue. So when you are saying that, okay, why you are using this particular simulator only, what if the underlying environment or configuration is being changed? Will it affect the results? And yeah, so that is the point associated with these are the different challenges. That is why you need lot of thought process before finalizing the problem statement. You should think like, okay, this could be the simulation environment, this could be the simulator that you would like to use. What if the underlying parameters or environment is being changed? And the second point is number of alternative courses, number of just a minute. Okay, the number of alternative courses of action may be very large, right? I mentioned like, okay, 2 or 3 alternatives. People will ask you why your methodology is working. Why didn't you try other methodologies? Why other methodologies are ineffective compared to yours? So you should be having all these answers, which is quite difficult. Like, let's say you have 10 different methodologies for arriving the solution. Have you tried all the different 10 different methods? And is it like, or is it like only one methodology you have tried and saying that, okay, this is being providing the better result? Why not other methods, right? So these are the questions which are the big, which creates big problems, right? And persons not involved in making the decision may be affected by it and react to it favorably or unfavorably, right? Sometimes in what happens is you have done an entire work, okay? Maybe you have worked on some 2 months or 3 months. Maybe somebody's intentional or unintentional feedback would affect your entire work. So that can also happen, right? So these are the various challenges that one should foresee when you are defining the research problems. Okay. Yeah. So that is, again, let's take a quiz for a minute, fast quiz. Again, this is an ungraded quiz. So I have kept it just at the intermediary of the session. So if you can scan it, that is fine, or else let me just put the same thing in your chat window. Let me just see the answers, how many of you are able to answer. Questions are quite straightforward. Let me just stop the sharing. I'm putting a link in the chat window. I think some 3 to 4 questions are there. Try to see that you will be able to log in properly, because without logging in, you won't be able to submit the answers. Let me just run this timer.
Sir, can I ask you whether multiple answers are allowed?
Yeah. Yes. Few of the questions, I think second question number 2, I think. Question
Yeah.
number 2 and 4.
So multiple we can.
Multiple answers. Yes. You can choose multiple answers.
Yeah.
One or more.
Thank you, sir.
I can see some some around 20 responses are there. Still yet to receive few of the responses. You can take another 2 or 3 minutes and complete the quiz. Are you facing any problems in submitting? I think somebody from Radhika, I think. I'm getting responses from most of the candidates. Try to re-log in and then submit the answer. It should not be the case. And there is no stopping time as such for any of the forms. It will be open. So far I have received 30 responses. We'll wait for 3 more minutes. Okay, I am seeing like almost 30 responses. Let's briefly discuss what is that, what are the answers. Let me stop the timer at this point. We'll just let me check the answers and then I'll update you. Okay, this is quiz 1. Let's see the responses. Okay, so the first question is like, who should formulate the research problem? I think all of you have given the correct answer. That is, the researcher must find the problem and formulate it. And there is only one answer. I don't, no one has to a research problem comes ready. So that's not the case actually. Obviously, researcher has to put a lot of effort for formulating the research problem. And which of the following are correct with reference to the research problem, right? So there are 4 points. There must be some objective to be attained. There must be some environment, and then there must be an alternative means or course of action, and there must be, so here there must be an individual, right? Sorry, here I have given the choices, like in other words, the all the components of the research problem which I have discussed. So I have included all of them, and in other words, the candidates should have ticked all four of the options which are correct, right? So which is a multiple choice question. And the research problem is one which requires a researcher to find out best solution, and it is never solved, and nobody can solve the problem. I think only one has answered that one. So rest, I think 26 members have chosen the best solution for the given problem. Obviously, it is the best solution, or we say the optimal solution. Now, maybe there could be existing solutions. Out of that, you are trying to find out an optimal solution or your own solution, right? The first one is the answer. While formulating the research problem, the researcher can face challenges like, so it is again like all of them are true. So just to check your understanding. Okay, so now let's move on to the presentation. Okay. So now, once you have identified the problem, how exactly a problem has to be formulated, the research problem undertaken for the study must be carefully selected. So it is quite important. See, the research problem, it has to be studied. You have to put a lot of effort, and many a times that is where your guide comes into picture, right? Your research supervisor comes into picture. You should have an active discussion with the research supervisor. And again, do you agree that guide should give the problem, research problem? So how many of you agree? Let's take, without taking, I think I have running out of time, but let's take one last poll. So have you got the question? How many of you agree that guide should give the research problem? Let me just put that also as a poll. A fast poll will start with the session, next session. I'm giving one more poll for everybody. So let me just start the poll. Yeah, I have started the poll. So you can just say yes or no or answer. Okay. Okay. Okay, 19 answers as no, 3 answers as yes so far. 22 answers as no, 23 still counting. Okay. Okay, so majority of you do agree that I'm stopping the poll now. Okay. Many of you have mentioned that guide is not the person who should give the problem statement, which is a good thought. I mean, in fact, that is how the things are. Most of the time, the research supervisor is there to help you out and guide you in all the hurdles that you. And he's a he or she is a kind of person who will guide you not in formulating the research problem. So that is why many a times when you go for research problems, so it is up to the researcher, and also researcher should also check the comfort zone, like whether he or she will be able to carry out a research in that particular area or not, right? So though of course the research guide will help you out, but a research problem undertaken for the study must be carefully selected by the researcher, and the role of research guide is to just to advise whether you are going in the right direction or not. Now let's say if you imagine you being a patient and the ophthalmologist being your guide, so the role of the guide is to find a suitable lens for you, but it is you who should tell like whether you are able to see through those lenses or not, right? So ultimately it's your journey, not the supervisor's journey. uh, Even you see, if sometimes it may happen that if you are not very much keen providing your like whether you are comfortable with the research problem, you may end up in a wrong lens, right? So just trying to tell you what can go wrong. So ultimately it is every researcher must find out his own salvation for the research problems, and research problems cannot be borrowed, right? It is the research scholar's journey rather than the research supervisor's journey, right? Being a research supervisor, he or she would have already been completed the journey, and research supervisor is there to help the researcher to pursue their journey and then minimize the hurdles that they are going to face. Yeah. Now, selecting the problem. The following points may be observed by the researcher. The subject which is overdone should not be normally chosen. Like how I'll tell you my case itself. When I initially started doing research on WSN way back in the 2010 or 2008 or something like that, wireless sensor network was quite interesting area which was there, and still it is a good research area where you can propose lots and lots of solutions for the existing problems, which are some kind of problems are NP hard, and still good solutions are needed for those. But one thing which caught me in that, exactly I don't recollect, but if I used to search in IEEE Explore or some other repository, I used to get around, let's say, 3,000 or 4,000 papers, right, or results. If I blindly used to search wireless sensor networks in IEEE Explore, I hope I'm trying to convey the proper meaning, right? But you try to search wireless sensor networks, currently in IEEE Explore, you will get more than 50,000 or even up to lakh, papers published. So you can think like, obviously what happens is when you take up any research problem, it is not only you that you would have chosen that particular research, of course, research area. Many of along with you, many in the same organization or and across in the different universities across the globe will be pursuing their work, and they'll be publishing their work. So you should not take a problem statement which is normally overdone, and also you should not end up in a situation like, okay, if you are proposing a solution, obviously that will come out, right? So that should not be the case. So that is where one should be very cautious. A subject which is overdone should not be normally chosen, so that everyone should take care. One more topic is controversial subject should not become choice of the average researcher. Okay, so what is this controversial subject area? Let me just give you some practical insights. I have taken some articles, let's say retracted papers, right? So I have, I don't know how many of you, just let me know if you are able to see the link. Can you see this? Are you still seeing the slide, or is it like you have seen, are you seeing the web page?
So it is like web page.
Like
okay.
web page.
You are seeing this article, right? 127 papers from India retracted for image
Yes,
duplication and manipulation. Yeah. So, I advise all the researcher to be active in these kind of articles, going through these articles also. Many of you might be knowing it, or I'm just putting some light on this. You can see one important thing which caught my attention is image duplication. Now you can see that when we are publishing, obviously I mentioned like visible research outcome is nothing but your publications, right? So people are looking for, since 2011, partially the last 3-4 years, more papers are getting flagged and retracted for problematic images. It is not only just copy pasting the text, but rather they are finding ways of checking the problems associated with the images also. Somewhere you have copied an image and not so quoted it properly, or you have copied an image, not taken permission from that particular original source. So all those things are going to create a problem. And you can notice that this is article of the year 2019. And you can notice that as per the facts, it is mentioned since 2011, right? And let me just take one more link. Top 10 most highly cited or retracted papers. Okay, so this is quite interesting. Let me just, I hope all of you are able to see the screen. It says the top 10 highly cited and retracted papers. You will find lot many articles. I have just included one or two. I'll come to the part of controversial area also, but let me just, you can take a look at this. I'm not sure like what is the area of this paper, but just look at the headings over there. And these are the journals which are indexed in Web of Science, and year of retraction, right? Year of retraction in the year 2018. Now look at when the paper was published. It was in 2013, right? And the year when the paper has been taken off from the journal is 2018. And look at the number of citations that this particular paper has received. It is as per the, again, it is not my information. Okay, this is all the information available over the web. Okay, nearly 1800, but still you can see that citations, papers are being cited. So what I'm trying to tell over here is, if you are saying at some point of time, okay, the one you have seen, you have found some information in one of the research article, hence it is true. It may not be, right? At that time, whatever the researchers they would have done, maybe that is based on some kind of hypothesis. And you can see that what you mean. Can anybody tell me what is the meaning of citation?
Referring to someone's paper.
Exactly. So you can see that that is how the citation counts increases. Like for example, when I am writing my paper, if I am quoting this particular paper or any other paper, right, in the reference section, and my paper gets published, so then this guy will get a citation count of 1 through my paper. Like that, there are certain papers most of you would have gone through, in each of your research area, there will be quite lot many like highly cited papers. Like it's kind of a benchmark where you will start. Okay, you will read lot of information and so on. But because of some reasons, maybe errors in the images or errors in the results itself, or maybe some kind of debatable outcomes, right? So papers or publications get retracted. I mean, it creates some kind of controversy, right? And also notice the citation that it has got like 1800 citation when it is published. Even it got citation after it got retracted. So that means people are still referring the retracted paper, whatever may be the reason. Let's not debate on that part. But still, if when the paper has been retracted, are you still citing it again? That becomes a question on the person who is conducting the research, right? So one should be always careful, like when you are doing literature review and so on. Always try to refer the papers from the valid sources before referring and quoting the papers. It is not just when you are preparing a research proposal, simply refer or quote some paper. That should not be the case. And you can see such well recognized good papers, of course, from medical background. You will find, if you are keen, if you are good at, then you will also find some of the research papers of your area also. And coming back to one more important thing, this I felt very Lancet. Lancet retracts the paper that halted so and so hydrochloroquine trials, right? It is with reference to COVID-19. So what this paper is all about is, it is related to COVID-19. I think all of us are familiar with the situation now. It's a kind of hot research area also. Now people are simply running behind publishing papers in COVID-19 and so on. I'm not saying that we do need solutions, but sometimes when we are trying to provide solutions, it may so happen that some of the it gets attracted by the so many different areas. Like the Lancet retracts the paper. Lancet is, I think, it's a nature journal, popular one. The paper got retracted because of falsified information or some information, right? Until and unless you are pretty sure like what you are trying to do, you should not end up in such kind of controversies, right? I hope because of these use cases, I hope I have given a blink of information. Like you should be very cautious. So that is why I'm everywhere stating simply saying that, okay, you should be very cautious when taking care of your research problem. That is one thing, but you should always avoid getting into controversial subject until and unless you can also notice. I'm not saying that, I'm not denying the fact that you should not take up that particular research area also. These are the guidelines that one should think of, right? Controversial subject should not become the choice of an average researcher. So you should think whether you should go ahead. There are endless possibilities, you see that, but also you should think of timeline, whether are you able to complete all the formalities, all the necessary things within the timeline or not. I'm just trying to give all the information from the practical insights, okay? And too narrow or vague problem statement should be avoided. So what is this vague or narrow problem statement? Now sometimes the problems that you take up, or the research problems for your research area, it could be considered as too narrow. So then how will you come to know the problem statement is too narrow? One thing, you will find very little or nothing written about it, right? So under that circumstance, you should think nowadays, with the information availability over the internet and the it is so easy, but still if you are not able to find some information, you should think before twice, whether you should take up that particular area or not. Maybe either it is so novel that only you are thinking about it, or else you are thinking it in altogether in a wrong way. So anything can happen. And you realize you can fully cover your topics in much fewer than the required number of words or pages. So I would like to quote this in a different manner. Now let's say you have you are supposed to carry out your research for entire 2 or 3 years or 4 years, whatever may the duration. But the problem statement that you have considered, will it span across entire 2 years or 3 years, or have you set the objectives in such a nice way so that you can effectively cover or work on that particular problem statement for the entire duration? That also you should think. You should not end up in saying like you have taken up a problem statement and you will cover it in, let's say, 1 month, 2 months, or 6 months. Then what will you do for next of the 2.5 years? So that becomes a big question, right? And also sometimes you may end up in choosing like the problem statement which is too broad. So what should you do? You find like how to know whether you have ended up in a broad area. You find too many sources, like the way in which I told. If you search for WSN, you will find more than 1 lakh papers being published. So you should think before, like whether you should go ahead. So what other things you should do is you could reasonably look through, right? You realize you won't have enough space in your paper to cover everything about your topic. So you have taken such a broad area, so you cannot fit that in one particular paper or one particular objective. So then also you should think, so how exactly you can split that into, narrow it down. You feel like your topic is pulling you in lots of different directions. It's hard to combine all of the information you are finding. So that means you have unknowingly or knowingly landed up in a domain where you will not be able to fine tune your problem statement. So that is also one of the indication where your problem statement is too broad. Okay. And the question is, let's say if your problem statement is narrow, how should you broaden it? Let's say you have taken up a problem statement which will get completed in 6 months only. Then how should you broaden it? Try to pick one of the subtopic. Like again, let me come back to my area, WSN. So now the very first topic which I understood is I took WSN, and cluster head election is what I found. And again, there were so many papers, but when I understood with reference to, let's say, nature inspired computing like particles optimization or fuzzy logic or soft computing techniques, I felt like, okay, there is no work that is being done at all. So many people were doing in a heuristic way. Nobody was doing any work on meta heuristic way. So that was my analogy. So that is why I took. So in other words, try to explore the subtopics. I'm still telling that there are so many problems that you can explore and find solutions using nature inspired computing. It is not only in WSN, of course. If you are good at artificial intelligence, or you can think of if you feel like some kind of optimization strategy is needed, you can use this particular methodology. You can try to explore what is nature inspired computing and how you can apply in your area. And this particular nature inspired optimization technique, it is not constrained to computer science alone. You can apply it in electronics, mechanical, and I have seen people applying it in different areas of engineering. You can also try it out of your interest. Okay, and who is an important notable person related to this particular topic? So try to see or go through that particular papers or the articles, and what is the specific type of the topic, right? So when did this topic happen, and when was the notable time related to this particular topic? So all these things, if you answer these questions, you will be able to broaden the narrow problem statement at your hand. Okay, where did or does the topic happen, or where was the notable place related to this particular domain? Why does this topic happen? Why is this topic important? How does this topic happen, and how do people work towards against this topic? So you can simply replace the word topic with your narrow problem statement, and as and when you start exploring the answers, you will be able to broaden it. And again, let's say if you end up in a broad problem statement, how should you narrow it? Use the strategies in the reverse direction. Like obviously, when you are you can choose the one of the subtopic and then start working on that, categorize it, and so on. So sometimes that is always a question when you are setting up the objectives for your research proposal. Usually will be asked a question. Is the objective worth tackling for 6 months to 1 year? So if you have 4 such objectives, yeah, 6 months to 1 year means obviously you will be able to cover entire 6 months to entire 3 to 4 years. So that's how you can justify. And also you should give a lot of thought process before formulating the objectives. Yeah. The following points may be observed by the researcher. Okay, try to avoid doing the research in overdone research areas. Think of controversial subject areas before taking up, and too narrow research. And the subject selected for the research should be familiar and feasible, right? So quite difficult to supply definitive ideas, and then researchers should contact an expert or a professor in the university. So you can simply, let's say you have referred a paper or something like that, and you are getting some kind of information mismatch, or maybe theory is not able to understand, or you feel like some expansion is needed. Obviously, you can write to that professor. What happens is maybe the professor may redirect you to the right resources, additional resources. I have done that, people doing it. So they may, there's a possibility of getting collaboration, getting your doubts clarified at the earlier stages, and read the articles published in the current literature. So I think all of you will definitely do it, and discuss with the others what he has in mind in the concerning the problem. So you don't have to disclose entirely what exactly you are trying to do with the concerned person, but rather there could be an exchange of knowledge, right? And you may end up. So all these activities you should be doing while selecting the problem statement. And the following additional points are: before the final selection of the problem is done, a researcher must ask himself these questions. Okay, whether he is well equipped in terms of background to carry out the research. So obviously this is a question, right? So are you, like, you may have to undergo some kind of courses, additional courses, etc. So you should equip yourself with the sufficient amount of knowledge, and whether the study falls within the budget he can afford. So which is a very important point. So which comes to the financial aspects. See, when you are doing, so you may have to go for some kind of field survey, right? Suddenly you may have to collect some kind of samples. Sometimes you may feel like, okay, the equipment available for doing experiments and getting the results, you may have to go for a specific research laboratory where they'll charge for completing the experiments, for using their resources. So you should think always all those things. Many a times what happens is, like, researchers, they'll read the papers, and then, okay, if the paper somehow they feel like, okay, if the results are there, and you feel like, okay, you can also do it. So, but you should also think of budget. I'm talking about bare minimum budget, okay, and even for funding for conferences, your itinerary, all those things you should think. So that is exactly like whatever may be the research, though all the store researchers have to do it, but you should not end up in a situation like you'll be needing hefty amount for conducting the experiments, or hefty resources which is not available. You should think twice before formulating your problems as well as objectives. You should think of budget. That is also an important aspect. Whether the necessary cooperation can be obtained, from those who must participate in the research subject, right? So maybe it is your colleagues, or maybe your contacts, or maybe an expert, or maybe your research supervisor also. So whether do you have sufficient cooperation for carrying out your research, right? Let's say you communicate to one of the researcher, and then he promises you, okay, he'll help you out, or maybe you will contact any one of the organization. So, but you should see, like, okay, the necessary cooperations, are you getting it or not? The selection of the problem must be preceded by a preliminary study, right? So this is very important. Now, when exactly preliminary study is quite important is, the field of inquiry is relatively new. The topic which you have taken, the research problem or the domain, it is quite new to you, or the domain itself is quite new. So then, before proposing your problem statement, okay, this is the problem and this is the methodology I'm proposing, you should think before twice, thrice, if the domain is quite new to you. and does not have available set of well-developed techniques. So that is also one of the issue. Okay? So what I can do is I can give you only the guidelines, but you being the researcher, you should always think, okay, should I go ahead? What are the implications of it? Pros and cons. Where you could lag. All those questions you should ask yourself, and then you should move ahead. Yeah, necessity of defining the problem. Let me just stop there. Okay. Okay. Are you all able to see the slides, or that something went wrong?
No, sir. We can't see the slides.
No, sir. Slides are not
Okay. Just a minute. Just a minute. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, this is what we were discussing. Now, necessity of defining the problem. I think we'll wind up the session at the earliest. The problem clearly stated as problem half solved, right? So you should be having a clear-cut idea, like how the problem should be very crisp, and it should be worth studying for your entire research journey. Okay, you should ask questions like, what data are to be collected? Okay, and what are the characteristics of the data, and what are the characteristics of data? What are the what relations are to be explored among the features of the data that you have collected? What techniques are used for this purpose? And prerequisite for any study is defining the research problem. And ultimately, the formulation of the problem is often more essential than finding the solution to the problem itself. Right. So that is why the problem formulation is very, very important. Now, so far we have discussed extensively on the research problem itself. Now the question comes is like, okay, after asking all these questions, is there any specific methodology for finding a research problem? Yes, of course, there is a problem. Of course, it's a time-consuming one, but you have to do it. Everyone has to do it. Let us start with the question. What does one mean when he or she wants to define a research problem? Okay. So this is again one more vote. I think we don't have much of the time. We'll continue with the discussion itself. So what does one mean when he or she wants to define the research problem? It means that defining a research problem involves task of laying down the boundaries within which the researcher shall study the problem with a predetermined objective in the view. Right? So always you should think of the boundaries. Like let me tell you again, like one of my experience only. So my research area is related to energy efficiency, right? So energy efficiency as my research area. So in this case, one of the expert asked me, so when energy has to be conserved on a wireless node or a sensor node, assume that a sensor node is there. I need to supply some kind of energy and it has to work on its own, but energy has to be prolonged. One of my expert committee, they asked, when we deploy this particular node, why can't you use a kind of solar panel and solve the energy crisis, right? So I clearly mentioned like solar energy, solar panel including, it can be done, but the energy crisis cannot be solved. And also I clearly mentioned inclusion of solar panels or providing energy through the solar panels was not concern of my research, right? So when I was confident, it is all because of this particular point, laying down the boundaries within which you are trying to work. So in other words, you will get lot many questions. You will get lot many questions when you are carrying out the research, but you should define a particular boundary and you should confine to that boundary. And when you get certain questions, you should be in a position to restrain yourself. You should be in a position to tell like, okay, which falls within the boundary and which question falls out of the boundary, so that you can clearly judge whether is that what you are trying to answer or is it something else. So that is why this point is very important, laying down the boundaries within which the researcher shall study. So, okay, what is the usual approach? Usual approach is the researcher should pose himself certain questions. Yeah, that he will do. And the concerned individual or organization should pose the question to the researcher. Okay, that is also done. But most of the cases, such approach generally does not produce definitive results of providing the problem. So for that, you should use this particular approach. The research problem should be defined in a systematic manner. The first thing is the statement of problem in a general way. Go for a general way in which you can define the problem. So in a broader way, I should say, in a broader way. And later, understand the nature of the problem. Understand the nature of the problem. And surveying the available literature. And developing ideas through discussions. And then finally, rephrasing the research problem into working problem, right? Working model. I think something is missing. Okay, working proposal. Proposal. Let me complete it. Working proposal, right? So before writing your research proposal, you should have completed all these 4 phases. Okay. So I think all of you or those who have not yet started, at least they'll be here at this particular stage, right? So many of you will be at this particular stage, right? Developing ideas through discussions. So have you initiated discussions with the experts? That also matters a lot. And finally, once you are done with all these phases, you should start writing the proposal. Let's just briefly go through the guidelines. Statement of problem in a general way. Problem should be stated in a broader way, right? Researcher should immerse himself thoroughly in a subject matter, right? You should look into the aspects. You should you should always keep on thinking about the problem statement or that particular domain, so that thought process will actually divert you to the in a right direction. Pilot survey, in other words, you have to do some kind of field survey or preliminary survey or sort of thing. Seek guidance of a guide, of course, every time whatever that happens, your whereabouts, your what exactly your progress, timely being, you should update your guide, so that guide will come to know whether you are going it in right direction. Or sometimes it may happen that researcher will start dwelling upon one particular problem, thinking, losing the bigger picture. That is where guide will come into picture. So that is why always take advice from your guide. Guide puts forth the problem in the form of in general terms, and it is up to the researcher to narrow it down and phrase. So every time, always it comes down to the researcher. Okay. So once you have cleared the thought about the broader area, understand the origin and the nature, right? Discuss it with those who first raised the objectives in the view. In other words, you should try to identify the source of the problem, from whom this problem has been originated. Researcher can enter into the discussion with those who have good knowledge, right? So always it is advised to you should have a contact or like-minded people, those who are doing in a research, right? So it will always be helpful, like whether you are going in a right direction or not. Okay. So that is, I know if you have somebody to discuss, it becomes very easy and it will keep you on track. keep in the view the environment within which the problem is to be studied and understood. Okay, and surveying the available literature. Of course, there are so many different ways in which you can perform the survey. I think in the future sessions, some other faculty will take a detailed sessions on carrying out literature survey, how to document it, and so on and so forth. But you should spend sufficient time in carrying out the literature review also. Literature review can be study of papers, maybe conference papers, good quality journals, even thesis of other completed PhD research students, and even going through the white papers in the articles that are published in the websites of the company, and so on and so forth. And developing the ideas through the discussions, right? So that is what I was talking about. You can have an experience survey. You speak to a researcher or a person who is very well experienced with. So even I also did this. So you should also do it. Incorporate their advice and comments. Discussion should not only be confined on problem statement, but you can also discuss briefly like how exactly the solutions can be proposed, which is the feasible solution, and so on and so forth, right? It should not always be an individual journey, but rather you should take advice from lot many people, which will help you to shape the problem statement and the objectives. So finally, once you have done all these activities, rephrasing the rephrasing the research problem, or finally you are there to submit your research proposal. Finally, the researcher must sit and rephrase the reference. So now you have got all the information. You have collected vast amount of information through discussions, through literature survey, through expert opinion, surveys, and experience survey, and so on and so forth. Now it is your turn. So what exactly you are supposed to do? So you should formulate it. What exactly you are supposed to omit? That also you should think. And also you should define in such a way that you should not end up in doing so many activities with so many objectives that it will span more than the time frame. All right. The problems has to be clearly understood. Environment to be defined has to be identified. Discussions on the problem and then available literature has to be surveyed, and then it has to be examined. Okay. So finally, so these are the additional things. You should also worry about some of the terms or the words or the phrases with special meanings. That also you should catch hold of it. So you can write a good bibliometric paper on this particular part area itself. Basic assumptions and postulates and hypotheses should be put forth. A straightforward statement of value of investigation, that is criteria for selection of the problem, should be provided. The suitability of the time period or the resources of data available must also be considered by the researcher in defining the problem. Okay, so I think I have just gone through these slides. If necessary, again we'll have a discussion on these points or the left out points in the tomorrow's session. Okay, so I think we'll stop at this point. So let me just, we'll discuss this illustration in the next session. We'll wind up at this point. I have one more quiz. I want all of you to take that quiz. And again, briefly, we'll look into these points in tomorrow's session and take up the additional topics associated with research design. Okay. So the majority of the things are taken from this particular textbook, Research Methodology, Methods and Techniques by Kothari CK. You can also refer this particular textbook from chapter 2, and additional things, whichever that has been taken from the internet, I have quoted there itself as a courtesy. You can refer that also. So finally, one more ungraded quiz. So you can give that quiz. So we'll discuss the solutions of these quiz in the next session. Okay. So that's it for today's session. I am going to put this link on the chat window. All of you should take this quiz and then leave the meet.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, sir.
Yeah. Still, wait for a
Thank you,
minute.
sir.
Still, there is a quiz part, so I just wanted all of you to face that quiz. I'm just putting that in the chat window.
Sir, can you please share today's PPT?
Yeah, no problem.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you.